Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is a game with a truly large assortment of antagonists and bad guys. From evil vampires plotting to permanently blot out the sun, to dragons hungry to literally eat the world, The Elder Scrolls V definitely gives us a chance to cross swords with a fair array of foes. But some of Skyrim's most intriguing villains aren't connected to any major questline or faction. Instead, their existence is a bit hidden, or requires some extra work to get to. These evildoers typically have their own unique story or effect on their own that's especially cool. So today we'll be taking a look at 5 more secret bosses and villains in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Part 3! Starting off, Gogh Moe is an Altmer vampire and primary advisor to Lord Harkin at Castle Volokar. Gogh Moe himself isn't really a secret character by any means, but he is hiding something. Sort of. Furthermore, depending on your actions and choices in the Dawnguard DLC, it's possible this undead high elf may end up being your friend rather than a foe. However, he is clearly an evil individual. According to dialogue we can overhear, and our own conversations with him, before becoming a bloodsucker, Gogh Moe was actually a member of the Thalmor, serving the Aldmeri Dominion in their everlasting quest to expand high elven supremacy far and wide. So already, even as a mortal, this fellow was engaged in some pretty morally debatable activities. At Castle Volokar, he's presently vying for control over Harkin's throne with a number of fellow Fanged friends. But this information is all directly communicated to the player. Gogh Moe's a twisted guy, so what? We know that. Well, what you may not have known is that this character was indeed mentioned in vanilla Skyrim, before he was even added to the game. The book, Night of Tears, is available in the vanilla game, free of any DLC. It contains a series of accounts and potential explanations for a famous event in early Skyrim's history known as the Night of Tears, in which an army of snow elves attacked and destroyed the Nordic settlement of Saarthal. This event would go on to ignite a much larger war between the two peoples. The reason for the initial Snow Elven assault is unknown, and this book makes an effort at answering that question. Interestingly enough, the writing contains a passage that, believe it or not, mentions Gogh Moe, specifically one of his academic works, and tries to use that to further provide context to the Saarthal incident. It reads, quote, Gogh Moe's Tetris on the Altmer Antecedent suggests the elves of the Merithic era, along with their counterparts, the early Dwemer, possessed a degree of sophistication unparalleled in Tamriel. They displayed power far beyond what could have been expected at the time. While a distinct explanation is not given for this, I believe that this work, compared with early writings from other authors, suggests that something greater was at work on that night in Saarthal. So from the looks of it, Gogh Moe was previously a pretty well-respected academic. I mean, it seems like this is definitely the same individual we're talking about. They're both high elves, they've both been around for a long time. Makes sense. So next time you find yourself in Castle Volokar, be it to slaughter all the vampires inside, or help them complete their next objective, do keep in mind that Gogh Moe, despite all his bragging, isn't even citing all of his achievements. Next on our list, we have a new type of villain. No, not an evil bandit chief or twisted mage, but instead, an animal. Specifically, an adorable fox. At Southfringe Sanctum, a massive cave southeast of Helgen, inhabited mostly by hostile warlocks called spell swords and unconnected with any major quests, close to the cavern entrance, we can discover a small cage, with a cute little red fox inside. Also in the cage will be a chicken the local bandits gave to him. This little creature seems to be their pet. Now, the notable thing here is, I mean, aside from the obvious irony of a bunch of cruel, evil necromancers having such an adorable animal they're taking care of, is that this fox actually has its own unique name, and is technically hostile to the player. It's called Pumpkin, and Pumpkin will turn aggressive towards the Dovahkiin as soon as he detects you. A glance in Skyrim's files reveals that the pet is also considered a member of the Necromancer faction. Lucky for us, Pumpkin's stuck in a cage and can't really leave. And if he somehow does manage to get out, Fox's potential damage output per attack is capped at 5, so you'll probably be okay. Furthermore, it seems Pumpkin's inclusion in Skyrim is a part of a greater, longer-running series of gags by Bethesda. As in Fallout 3, a tamed mole rat named Pumpkin could be stumbled upon locked in a cage at the Jury Street tunnels. And in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, a dog named Pumpkin wandered around a campsite near Rockmill Caven. And so in Skyrim, we get to cross paths with another fluffy bean named after the large fruit. How wonderful. Coming in at number 3, speaking of animals, we have yet another, though this fellow is considerably less adorable. On the island of Solstheim, off our northeastern coast, we can find an even smaller island, called Horker Island. And before making the journey, the player should be prepared for a very odd and disturbing sight, as all around the place are the corpses of bandits, reavers. It looks like they've been utterly slaughtered, and nobody bothered to clean up the mess. Blood, bodies, and bones litter the small speck of land. The ships these now dead Dunmer brought with them are still resting on the shores. What happened here? Alas, fallen crewmen aren't Horker Island's only inhabitants. As you may have guessed, this island is called that for a reason. There are a number of Horkers who also populate the area, and they will be very unfriendly. Seriously, a look at their stats in Skyrim's creation kit implies they have higher aggression levels than normal Horkers. But as you're hacking your way through all this angry blubber, you might notice that one of these beasts isn't like all the others. One Horker in particular has a name, Lord Tusk. This foe's size and stats are also unique, as he's about 50% bigger than his peers with twice the HP and stamina. Oh my. Mind you, they may just be animals, but Horkers already have, like, a lot of health, so this could be a problem. Nearby on the beaches, next to one of the boats, is the journal of one of these bandits, titled Satan's Journal, and it all but confirms our theory that these Horkers are people eaters. According to his writings, Satan and his fellow bandits were actually pirates, part of a gang that called themselves the Blood Horkers. Kind of ironic if you ask me. One day they were sent out to scour the various islands close to the Sea of Ghosts, and spotted this one. They thought it would be a good idea to get off at this island and check it out. But as soon as they disembarked, they were utterly overrun by the island's bloodthirsty wildlife. The author of the journal states that as he writes his final entry, all of his friends are already dead. He's the only one left standing. But he refuses to run. No, he wants to make a last stand. After closing his book, Satan states he intends to charge into the Horkers and try and take as many with them as possible. And sure enough, on a slope near the island's peak is Satan's body. And next to him, a unique steel mace, called Horksbane, which does 20 extra damage to all Horkers. And so, now it's upon you. Will you pick up his weapon and finish what Satan couldn't? For 4th spot, we have Hamlin. Now, Hamlin in and of himself isn't exactly a secret or hidden character in the way that you may be imagining. If you decide to play through the Thieves Guild quest line, you're pretty much guaranteed to eventually come across him, during the quest Dampened Spirits, wherein Maven Blackbriar sends the player to poison the mead being produced at Honeymbrew Meadery in Whiterun in order to get it shut down and limit her competition. This mission will lead you into a small series of underground tunnels below the business, and inside of them, Hamlin can be found. He's a dangerous, angry, hostile Breton mage. And curiously enough, when you approach him, you'll find that the fellow is actually in the company of a handful of skeevers, who seem to be his pets. They seem to be living in his company just fine, but they'll join their master in attacking you as soon as you've been detected. Now, upon this odd encounter, you may be thinking to yourself, oh my Talos, I have a Thieves Guild contract to fulfill, I just don't have time for this, and just kill the mage and his pets before running along on your way and forgetting about the whole incident. However, if you decide to inspect Hamlin's body, the Dragonborn can find his diary, which offers us a considerable amount of insight on this very strange and shockingly complex character, who seemed to be a nobody at first. Apparently, he was once an apprentice to a mage at the College of Winterhold, but was expelled for what he attributes to be everyone's jealousy. After leaving the institution, Hamlin found himself in Whiterun, where he was treated even worse. Citizens harassed him, children mocked him, and he even got arrested at one point. But since then, he managed to escape his cell and flee down here, underneath the Honeymbrew Meadery. In these dark, rarely trafficked tunnels, he doesn't have to deal with any other people. No, the only other forms of life near him are rats, and thanks to his magical prowess, he learned that he can control them to make them do his bidding. Thus, Hamlin developed a sinister plan. He He was intending to build an army of loyal skeevers and invade Whiterun with them as soon as he felt it was at full strength. At least, that was his plan. You probably killed him and put a bit of a damper on those intentions. But thank God you did. Well, what you may also not have known about this crazy individual is that he's indeed based off of a real-life folktale. The Pied Piper of Hamlin is an old legend from Germany that has many different interpretations, but generally goes like this. The German town of Hamlin had a rat problem in the 1200s-ish, and a man exceptionally good at playing a piper offered to get rid of them for some coin. The mayor agreed, and the musically gifted man was able to play his instrument so well that all of the rats started to follow him. He then simply just led them out of the town. Now, the story sort of deviates here depending on whom you ask. Some will say that after he helped, the mayor went back on his promise to pay the piper, so he led all the rats back to take over the town. Others allege that after not being paid, the piper did come back, but not with the rats. Instead, he returned, played some more, and was able to lead all of the town's children away in an act of revenge. So, a pretty dark tale. But it's neat to know that Bethesda drew some inspiration from it. And finally, last on our list, the Dark Brotherhood quest, Death Incarnate, is easily among the most heartstring-tugging missions the faction offers. It begins immediately after your failed assassination attempt on Emperor Titus Mede, thanks to some clever intelligence and body double usage by a security forces captain, Commander Morrow, who after briefly mocking you, informs that his men have learned where the Dark Brotherhood's long secret sanctuary lies, and has already dispatched a team to destroy it. In the mission, the Dovahkiin arrives just in time to watch the underground hideaway they called home for so long be burned, and many of your favorite characters killed in the process. Truly some sad stuff. Well, towards the back of the still-burning sanctuary, one fellow assassin who survived, Nazim, will be battling a Penitus Oculatus agent. Simply go up to him, help the Redguard win his battle, and the quest will continue to progress. But that Penitus Oculatus agent he was fighting wasn't exactly ordinary, because this one, unlike all the others, had a name, Arcturus. Oddly enough, while this may not seem to be anything of consequence at first, as it would turn out, it appears he may be related to one of our allies from back in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. In that game, one fellow blade you could meet was an Imperial, named Arcturus at Cloud Ruler Temple. Now, as far as blades go, he wasn't really the team MVP if you catch my meaning. He boasted pretty much no dialogue, and really just seemed to be there to take up space and make the place look more populated. Though considering the Penitus Oculatus, the Emperor's current bodyguard that Skyrim's Arcturus serves, and Oblivion's Blades, the Emperor's bodyguard up until the end of the Great War, are pretty much just successors of each other and serve the same purpose, it seems very likely that these two characters are related to each other in some way. Perhaps Arcturus is an Imperial family name or clan. There doesn't seem to be any other reason for Bethesda to have specifically given a single Oculatus agent a name in this mission, and no one else. Whatever the case, if the two are related, the Dragonborn will unfortunately need to put an end to this family line. How sad. However, with that we are going to wrap up. 5 more hidden bosses and villains you may have missed in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Part 3. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Which of the colorful characters whom we explored today was your own favorite? For me, I think that honor is split either between Pumpkin or Lord Tusk. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for coming, and hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.